Team, His Excellency Dr. Indira Pradhana Singha Vinata, Secretary General of APO and his team, distinguished panelists, ladies and gentlemen. It's indeed a great honor and privilege for me to be invited to this concluding session of seminar on productivity. For any country, the basic goal is to provide good life and well-being to its citizens. In order to provide well-being of citizens, countries have to undertake national development path. If countries do not develop, they would never have the resources that will enable them to look after their people. So for any country to develop, it needs four basic ingredients. The first is a productive and competitive economy. If economy is not productive and competitive, it will not generate the resources. Second, a responsive and innovative state. The state structure has to be responsive to the dynamism and the changes that are taking place. Because if the state is not responsive and innovative, its ability to be a productive and competitive economy will be compromised. Three, it needs a capable administration and inclusive institutions. If it lacks good quality of governance, it will not be able to keep the machine running for long. And fourth, it needs a shared identity and equal treatment of its citizens for two reasons. One, no system can continue for long without stability. And in order to have stability, you need to treat your people well, you need to respect their diversity, and from that diversity create a shared identity that will give them a common purpose or goal to come together and work as a synergistic team. So the power of positive synergy is critical in success of any nation. Now, in order to achieve these goals, in order to turn your economy on next level of development, you need growth. If economy will not grow, you will not have higher level of economic development. How do you get growth? You get growth either by investments or by increasing your productivity. You invest more, you get more output. But if you don't have enough investment, then you have to produce more with what you are investing. And that is where the productivity becomes very critical. But productivity also has become very complex because productivity is now directly linked to competitiveness. It is through productivity that you create competitiveness. And in our previous tenure, with the help of Asian Productivity Organization, we carried out a very useful study and we launched an initiative which we called PQI initiative. It was Productivity Plus initiative. And what is Productivity Plus initiative? That you have to add to productivity quality and innovation, which are also very important drivers now of productivity. So how do you ensure that you have the right quality standards? How do you ensure that you have a good innovation ecosystem? Now those are very important contributors to any productivity journey of an organization or an economy. So we did this initiative, we launched it through NPO, but in 2018, when our government was sent home, that initiative was also thrown into the dustbin. Now, this brings me to another issue, that at 75 years, when we look back in our history, that why have we not done enough and why have we not achieved as much as we should have achieved? I remember, I see Malaysian delegation here. In 1997, when we did Vision 2010, at that time, Malaysia had done Vision 2020. So Prime Minister asked me to go and have a look at Malaysian vision and see how they have done so well. And then maybe we can get some good ideas and tips for our Vision 2010. So we visited Malaysia. Believe me, whoever we met, they said, what can we tell you? In 60s, you were our role model. We were looking at you. So Pakistan was our role model. So we learnt our development lessons from Pakistan. So what can we tell you? So we were quite embarrassed also. But then we did our Vision 2010. But after a couple of years, there was martial law and it was thrown down the drain. In 2013 again, Prime Minister asked me that what job you want to take. I said, I have an unfinished agenda, so I'll go back to that part of planning and like to do something for Pakistan to make it a really strong economy and a competitive economy. So I took Ministry of Planning again by choice. And we worked on Vision 2025. And in 2013, when we started this Vision 2025, Pakistan was facing 16 to 18 hours of power shortages. Every day, a suicide bomber will blow himself somewhere and kill dozens of people, and Pakistan was seen as a major security risk by every investor. No one would even like to visit Pakistan. We are today lucky that we have so many foreigners, that Pakistan is back to normal. But in 2013, we were being labeled as the most dangerous country in the world. But then the government took the resolve challenge. We put in the effort, resources, we unified the nation, we fought extremism, we defeated extremism, we brought normalcy and peace to Pakistan, and the same economy which faced 16 hours of power shortages came to 0 hour of power shortages by installing 11,000 megawatts of new energy within 4 years. So we were back into business. And in 2017, I remember every ambassador in the town, whether American ambassador or US, UK or European Union or Japan, every G20 ambassador would queue to get a meeting with me and had only one question. Excellency, tell us, how can our companies join CPEC projects? Pakistan was seen as a new investment destination. So the whole thing was turned around. And at that time, again, in 2018, we had a forced regime change. And the whole policy framework that we had taken up in 5 years was again thrown into the dustbins. So ladies and gentlemen, taking advantage of all these wonderful people here who have done so well, our friends from different countries, whether it is Turkey, whether it is South Korea, whether it is Malaysia, whether it is China or whichever country, there are 2 lessons that are very critical. Productivity or anything will only come if any system has stability and continuity of policies. If you do not have an ecosystem based on stability and continuity of policies, all your good work will go to waste. So therefore, that is one lesson, because we have important people from business, from private sector, and you can ask these international delegates who have success stories with you to share that how have these countries done well. the first thing, the prerequisite for national development is ensuring that there is stability and continuity in policies, and then only everything will work. Otherwise, you keep going around in circles. So now, coming back to productivity, I think this is an important area which is most critical to Pakistan for simple one reason. Our failure in 75 years has been that when the world was adopting export-led growth model, our planners somehow chose an import substitution model for industrialization, which was a faulty model. Because when you do import substitution, you produce for your own taste, to your own standard, and to your own demand. And there is a limited demand for this. But when you have an export-led growth model, then you are producing for the world markets with unlimited potential and for global standards, and you are forced to adopt competitiveness benchmarks. Otherwise, you will be out of business. So each of the countries which in last 50 years has grown, whether it was Japan, followed by South Korea, followed by Malaysia, followed by China, followed by Thailand, followed by Bangladesh, each of these countries developed an export-led growth model. Now, when you do export-led growth, that means that you ought to have competitiveness built into your productive systems. Because if you are not competitive, you will not be able to sustain for too long. You will be beaten out of the world market. So in order to protect your market share, in order to keep yourself there, you ought to adopt productivity as a religion in your production, quality as a creed in your production, and innovation as a way of life in your production. So these are, I think, the most critical dimensions which are now very critical for Pakistan. If we have to move forward, we have to catch up with what we have lost, and we have to truly realize our potential. There are only 3 steps that Pakistani economy needs to take: exports, exports, and more exports. Because if we will not export enough, we will not earn enough foreign exchange to finance or fund our development needs, or to build new infrastructure, or to undertake the development journey, or to meet its requirements. We have been going through cycles. Every time we have achieved 6% plus growth rate, that creates more demand in the economy. That demand creates more propensity to consume dollars through higher imports, but our corresponding capacity to earn dollars does not increase in shape of exports. So you have huge balance of payment crisis, and you have to apply emergency brakes to cut down this balance of payment gap, and then you again slow down your economy. So this is the cyclical movement that we are going. So if we really want to go on the high wave for long, that can only happen if we have more exports. And we can only have more exports if we adopt productivity, quality, and innovation as a permanent element and feature of our economy. So I would very much welcome this initiative. In our last government, we started a government subsidy program for helping SME sector to get global certification for quality and for standards that were required in their sectors. And we are still willing to invest in this initiative. We would like our business enterprises to be certified on globally accepted certificates or standards, so that they have more access to global markets and they can have greater potential to export. And I hope that with this national productivity plan which I saw, it was music to my ears, and a great sigh of satisfaction, because this is what was in Vision 2025 that we were trying to achieve. And this is the way forward. And I assure National Productivity Organization our fullest support. I have always believed that this is the real opportunity for Pakistan. In the short run, we are short of investments. We are going through economic challenges. So when you don't have enough investment, the only lever for us to have produce more growth is by increasing productivity. In agriculture alone, if we increase our productivity to world standards of per acre yield, we will have 12 to 15 billion dollars extra revenues. Now it's not a rocket science. We just have to improve our on-farm management practices. You're not adding any new technology, you're not adding any new input. Only by improving the methods with which we sow the crop, with which we harvest the crop, with which we take care of the crop, we can increase our productivity by 80 to 300% in different sectors. Now, these are free gains to be achieved just by improving the practices and learning better techniques. So we need to now master the art of producing more with less, and that is what productivity is. Once again, thank you very much, Pakistan. Zindabad.